योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीना पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि. We bow down to the sage Patanjali, who gave us the knowledge of yoga for purification of the chitta, Sanskrit grammar for purification of speech, and Ayurveda for purification of the body. We pray to gain proper insights into his sutras. टीवी चालू करो. Okay, so we were at 1.15. We discussed about Abhyasa and Vairagya, correct? And we also had a discussion on the importance of Vairagya, correct? You remember that story I told you about the thief who were rowing a boat? Whole night they were rowing a boat, but the boat was not released from the anchor. It was dark. So morning they were exactly at the same spot where they started. So if you do sadhana but you do not observe moderation or control over your sense activity and always your consciousness keeps moving out through the senses, then that effort that you put doesn't take you forward in the journey of yoga. You have to remove the anchor of the boat. It was very dark. Those thieves caught a boat. The king's men were behind them, so they were rowing it very fast. Whole night they rowed. Morning they opened their eyes and king's soldiers were in front of them. Hey, where have we reached? You are exactly at the same spot because you forgot to release the anchor of the boat. The same way, there are many sadhakas who do a lot of sadhana. But what they forget is that when you do sadhana, you also have to prevent your consciousness once again drawn into sensory activity. So they don't focus here. That way, everything starts getting undone. Okay. So whatever you have seen, whatever you have heard, there is a desire in that. All of us in our heart understand many things, but when it comes to sense pleasure, we should be honest. We all firmly know that a gratification that will come in future, where we can put effort, but when immediate gratification is available, we all are pretty sure that sense organs are going to give us the pleasure that we want, and we indulge. Now here we have to understand one thing. Yoga philosophy doesn't have that pessimistic viewpoint about life that, okay, then it means it is very depressing life, you cannot enjoy anything in life. No, it is not like. Bhagavad Gita in the 3rd chapter gives lot of clarification on that. What yoga is against is continuous chintana of the bhogas, because your chitta should not be filled with it at all the times. Krishna in the 3rd chapter very beautifully says that one who controls the motor organs, but in the mind keeps thinking about the sensory pleasures. So what is that shloka? Can anybody tell me? Vimud Atma wala shloka kya hai? Krishna shloka, does anybody remember? Ya aste manasa smaran vimud atma mithyachara sa uchyate. What is that shloka, yaar? The shloka in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna tells that one who controls the motor organs, suppresses the motor organs, but allows the sensory organs pleasure to be thought, that is known as Vimud Atma. So how does that shloka start? No, the shloka before this. Karmendriyani Sanyam. What is the shloka number? 3 point? 3.6. 3.6 and 3.7 is the answer to those who ask this question, that yoga philosophy is very pessimistic and you are telling people you cannot enjoy anything in life, it is so depressing. Krishna tells, no, it is not like that. See, please understand the perspective. These two shlokas, if you understand, you will understand the real essence of Vairagya. Karmendriyani Sanyamya. What the person is doing? Karmendriya means motor organs. How many karmendriyas are there? 5. So Vak, Pani, Padam, this is with speech, and then Payu, Upasthaha. Correct? 5. So organs of defecation, sexual organ, speech, hands, feet. Stopping them. Karmendriyani Samyam. Then Ya aste manasa smaran, but allowing the mind to go. Then Krishna uses very strong word. He says mithyachari, hypocrisy, telling something, doing something. So one is really worried about what people will say. So one is controlling it. But mind nobody can see when person is alone. Then giving mind a free when to do whatever it wants. No, not correct. Mithyachara, vimudatma. You are making yourself prone to move into psychotic spectrum. See, this shloka tells us what kind of people are prone for psychotic breakdown. Vimudha is a word for delusion and eminent psychosis. People who observe this dual life, where karmendriyas are fully under samyamya, but mind is doing many things, but not allowing the mind to do it. Then you are injuring your system, your whole system. Many people understand this as yoga sadhana. Okay, I will not do it. I have taken a vow, I will not do it, but I can think about it. Yoga says that even doing is okay. Don't do continuous chintana about it. अरे यार तुम्हारे सुबह से शाम तक मुझे रसगुल्ला खाना है महीनों से रसगुल्ला, अरे एक बार रसगुल्ला खा के शांत बैठ जाओ, लेकिन वो पूरा महीना जो तुमने रसगुल्ला सोचा है वो प्रॉब्लम है. Getting into the act of bhoga is not as injurious as continuous chintana of the bhoga, because chitta shuddhi, chitta vritti nirodh is the whole path of yoga. Yoga is bothered about your chitta. Yoga is not bothered that much about what you are doing. Yoga is bothered about what color are you painting your chitta with. So if you stop yourself with everything, and when you stop yourself, no, chitta gets deeper color. The more you stop, the more you control, but allow the mind to go. Then what happens? Krishna tells proper sequence in the second chapter. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu upajayate sanghat sanjayate kamaha कामात क्रोधो भी जायते क्रोधात भवति सम्मोहा सम्मोहात स्मृति विभ्रमा आ गया स्मृति भ्रंशाद बुद्धिनाशः बुद्धिनाशात प्रणश्यति. How a person from just simple thing of not suppressing the karmendriya, allowing the jnanendriya to go into the bhoga, how he enters into a state of complete psychotic breakdown. Buddhi nasha is psychosis, right? How a person falls from his state is what yoga tells. So please do not misunderstand Vairagya in this way. Yoga is very clear. Yoga is telling you, if you are understanding it this way, you are moving on the path of psychotic breakdown. And any person who is a first degree relative of such patient and at risk should not do such activities. Okay, one point is clear. You are saying that yoga is not as pessimistic or depressing. We can enjoy things. So what is the way out? The very next sloka. Yastvindriyani manasa niyamyara bhate Arjuna. What the person does? Manas is more powerful than Indriyas. Mind is more powerful than senses. Buddhi is more powerful than mind. This is a sequence, no? But in the first sloka, what happens? Indriya become powerful. Then he uses buddhi to suppress the indriya. But in between, allow the manas to be free. Then the manas gets into vikshipta sthiti. Because karmendriya is not allowed and buddhi is giving a free vent to manas. Buddhi is not doing the niyamana on the manas. Correct? So then the person loses touch with buddhi completely. The mind loses touch with buddhi. And whatever he suppressed his motor organs with, the mind starts creating in its own imaginary world. And that is how the psychotic breakdown happens. Now here, in the second, very next sloka, 3.7, Krishna tells the way out. Yastvindriyani manasa niyamyarabhate Arjuna. Then Atmavashya Vidheyatma. Yastvindriyani manasa niyamyarabhate Arjuna karmendriye karma yogam asaktah savishishyate. There is another sloka, Vishayan Indriyeshcharan Atmavashcher Vidheyatma. That is, I think, next sloka to this. See the next sloka. Yes. Huh? Okay, fine. So, please understand here. Yastvindriyani manasa. The indriyas are managed by the manas. Niyamyarabhate Arjuna. Karmendriye karma yogam. What he does? He puts his karmendriyas in the act of karma yoga. Karma yoga means that Shastras have defined. Shastras have defined what is it that you can do and what are the bhogas that you can enjoy. But according to Shastra. In that direction, he puts his karmendriyas by controlling the manas with the buddhi and then putting the manas, controlling via manas the indriyas. So he puts the chariot on track. This is one sloka which tells that the buddhi to manas to indriya should be governed, and within the shastras, whatever bhogas are allowed, you can enjoy. That will, where you are contributing to your duty also and you are enjoying also, you will grow on the path of yoga. Correct? There is another sloka where he says that Indriyan Vishay Raga Dvesha Viyuktest. What he says? Raga Dvesha Viyuktestu Indriyan Vishayeshcharan. Let the senses go in their objects, but without raga and dvesha attached to that. Atma Vasher Vidhe Atma. है ना? Atmavasher Vidhe Atma Sayukta Savishish. That is a person who is very special, who has learned the art of doing the karma, where you remove the raga and dvesha and allow the senses to go in the sense objects. Vishayan raga dvesha viyuktestu Vishayan Indriyeshcharan. Atmavasher Vidhe Atma. Where is the anchor here? Anchor is in the self. And the person is able to rejoice in himself, but the raga and dvesha is removed. So understand that yoga is talking about stopping the free vent and giving away to thinking about the sense object freely mentally. That is more dangerous. But in a regulated manner, you can enjoy the sense pleasures, but in that also just remain aware that with how much of attachment or aversion are you enjoying this. Try to lighten down, try to mellow down your mind. See, in asana, what do we do? With the body, what do we do with body? Why do we asana with the body? We want to make the body stable and flexible. Yeah, it should be malleable. It should be. When you go towards Antarang Yoga, it is to flex the mind and make it more flexible. Correct? All of you are aware of rigid body, stiff body, how that body is. When you try to bend it, what happens? You feel difficult, you feel pain. Are you aware of a rigid mind? Stiff mind? What kind of mind is that? What quality will it have? Stiff, inflexible mind. Very simple. You will be surprised how much of us have that rigid mind. Very simple. Body bending forward, body bending backward. Like that, mind has to bend in a direction where you have to make your mind with your buddhi do an action which your mind has dvesha towards. I have dvesha towards this, but I want my mind to bend in that direction. Your mind will say no, inflexible. Then another aspect is my mind is tilted towards one side, that is raga. I want my mind not to go there, stand. It will not. This is inflexible mind. Yoga says you should be jitendriya. Your buddhi should be able to control your mind. We are not telling bend in one direction or another direction. You should have the freedom. Why should your mind tell, I can't do this, I can't do that? You should tell your mind, I now recognize that you have dvesha towards it. I know you have dvesha towards it. I want you to do it. I want you to bend. Very simple. All of us go for a lunch, correct? And very sweet dish comes in, which is very sweet. I've seen many people, they can't tolerate sweet at all. Too sweet is like poison. Very. Your mind says, no, I can't eat it. Then you see, dvesha, eat. You have bent your mind. At least धीरे धीरे फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी आता है. 10 डिग्री तो बेंड करो, आधा एक चम्मच तो खाओ. Eat at least 1 teaspoon, 1 spoon. Similarly, lot of raga towards pani puri. Pani puri khana hai. Freedom is not that, okay, whatever desire came in my mind, I quickly went and satisfied it. Is it freedom? You should be able to at least tell, you have intense desire to have pani puri, I will not give you today, tomorrow. Itna to bend karo. At least stretch your limits. Otherwise, what will happen? The rigidity will become so much. I have seen myself, people. They can survive only like bacteria. They can survive only between 20 degrees Celsius to 27 degrees Celsius of AC. उससे कम नहीं और उससे ज्यादा नहीं. Everywhere. If even physiologically, if it becomes 28, they start sweating. Everywhere they want AC, 24 degrees Celsius. It should be 24. People around them shiver. पूरा ऑफिस में शिवरिंग होता है, लेकिन वो उसको 24 चाहिए. Now you see the inflexibility of the mind. So yoga simply wants you to understand real freedom, real vairagya. It says that you can allow your senses to go towards the object, enjoy also, vishayan indriyescharan, but raga dvesha viyuktest. Understand that you should not be pushed against your will by your senses. In 3rd chapter, Arjuna asks this to Krishna. Who is it? A person doesn't want to do it, but who is it that pushes the person against his will to do the papa acharana? Who is it? Then Krishna tells you, it didn't happen in one day. Small. You kept giving away, reduce your flexibility so much that when real time came, you couldn't stand. It was built, the inertia was built way before by your Rajoguna. The yoga says, by Vairagya means remain aware. See, in one word, if you ask me the definition of yoga, self-awareness. It is not so much about your suppressing your actions. It's about being aware of what I am doing. Am I doing it with real inner freedom, or am I being bound and pushed against my will and giving away to the senses? Do I understand that as freedom? If that is your definition of freedom, then tomorrow and with subsequent listening to the senses more and more and allowing your mind to follow the senses, you are going to become more and more inflexible and rigid in your mind. And this will increase your abhinivesha and ultimately will land you into psychiatric issues, anxiety or depression. So flexibility domain beyond raga and dvesha has to be expanded. So I do that. When I understood this concept, I started experimenting, just watching my mind. What is it that my mind hates to do? For example, one thing means when I was in my MBBS and all, what I hated was to get up in the morning. My best time or the most restful thing that my mind enjoyed was sleep that happens between 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. उससे बढ़िया कोई चीज ही नहीं. Whole night you won't sleep, but early morning when you have to get up, then what sleep your mind gives? Bliss. You understand? So, understood that lot of raga towards that morning sleep. So, deliberately targeted that. I stopped sleeping at that time. Anything I will do, but I will not sleep during that time. Started morning, when got into MD, all yoga classes. Myself, I know that it will be difficult for me, but I take up that responsibility. My mind starts telling me, don't take, I take. So you push your limits yourself. Sometimes the tasks I take up are so huge, I am only scared of taking them. But I know this is my dvesha telling me not to take it. Take. In fact, most of my growth has happened because I have taken up tasks which my mind was very sure that I cannot do it. If you ask me 10 years before, I can't even imagine that I am doing big RCTs, multicentric RCTs, doing research with Harvard, meeting such big people. They have 1 lakh citations. You talking to them only, you feel scared. 1 lakh citations. Our citations are just 1,000. So you always have this tendency in your mind. Whenever something comes up, some responsibility comes up, your mind's immediate reaction is, don't take it, push it on somebody. If you become aware of that and just, उस moment पे हाँ बोल दो, ना मत बोलो, you will be surprised. You actually end up doing it most of the time. See, I'm not saying 100%, but 90% of the time. The task that I never believed I could do, I ended up doing it. So, who defines our limit? Our own mind. We only fool ourselves. We are here to manifest our potential, fullest potential. The problem is, we only don't know what we can do and what we cannot. We have a notion about ourselves that I can do this, I can't do this. That is completely wrong. You can do much more than what you think you can do. So yoga talks about this domain in life. Sometimes it goes to other extremes also for me. Like, can't sleep in the morning at all. If that other side becomes too much, in between I tell I have to sleep in the morning. Don't get up. Sunday, 10 baje tak. So too much attachment to that sattva guna and its sukha also is a problem. I do that with tea also. Slowly, number of teas in the day start increasing. Then suddenly I tell one day, from tomorrow I stop tea. My wife knows this drama. So 1-2 months no tea, milk. फिर धीरे से again one tea will. So this is mind bending, playing with your raga dveshas, pushing your limits. That is real Vairagya, real freedom, not suppression of the motor organs. Can I expand my domain of raga dvesha? How expanded I am? Your buddhi has the power, because when your mind tells you to bend to raga and dvesha, it takes signature from your buddhi in a very subtle, hidden way. No, like with the director, you want some approval, very slowly you push it, divert it, and take signature and go off. Like that, your mind has to fool buddhi. It cannot bypass that. It has to go through the proper channel. So it takes consent of the buddhi, but it takes in a very cunning way. If your buddhi is alert and says, no, paper not signed, and you push. So always, at least every week, do one action which is completely against your raga, and do one action which is completely against your dvesha. What you hate, you do once, and what you really love, delay it once. Then slowly, raga dvesha viyuktast vishayan indriyescharan atma vasher vidheyatma. That kind of a person who, so where is that power coming to me? Atma vashyar vidheyatma. That is coming me from my swarupa, from myself. I have that, because that freedom is my nature, and my real nature is freedom from raga dvesh. So if I'm just aware of it, I have the power. It is effortless, but you should be aware. Okay. Then there is another kind of vairagya. This is what is practical vairagya, what I follow in my life, and I have observed tremendous benefit of vairagya. There is another kind of vairagya which happens when this practical vairagya in day-to-day life is continued for a long period of time. Tat param purushakhyater guna vaitrushnyam. One reaches a state where whatever is happening, one is not having any raga, any dvesha towards it. Things are there as they are. So you tell me to do any task in this world, I will neither have a raga towards it nor a dvesha towards it. A gunatita kind of a sthiti. That becomes concretized when one has really established himself in his swarupa. Once one get that spiritual experience, after that, this raga dvesha cannot pull you. Even if you want to go, you cannot go. You can only do a drama, but in your essence, it cannot happen. So that is known as para vairagya. It is an advanced stage. See, Patanjali, after talking about Abhyasa and Vairagya, he immediately takes a jump and get into Samadhi. So this is the essence of the topic that we want to discuss today. Patanjali says, Vitark, Vichar, Anand, Asmita, Roop Anugamat, Sampradnyataha. Now, how many types of Samadhi are you aware of or you have heard of? Can anybody tell me different types of Samadhi that you have heard of? Savikalpa, Nirvikalpa. Then Sabija, Nirbija. Savichara, Nirvichara. Dharma Megha Samadhi. Savitarka, Nirvitarka. Sampradnyata, Asampradnyata. Very confusing. So many things are there. Correct? So today we are going to understand this as a very systematic phenomena. First, sampradnyat, asampradnyat is same as savikalpa, nirvikalpa is same as sabija, nirbija. No confusion. Sampradnyat, asampradnyat, sabija, nirbija, savikalpa, nirvikalpa, all those are same things. No confusion about it. Now, I have a question for all of you. When you say sampradnyat and asampradnyat, What do you mean? Anyone? With same awareness, without same awareness. People online also can contribute, unmute and yeah. Madam, sampradnyat, asampradnyat. This fundamentally, what is the difference? Pradnya means conscious. Yes, then yes. Hmm. Means we are very close. Yeah.
With consciousness, without.
Unconscious. Coma.
With same consciousness.
बताओ यार, थोड़ा बहुत हिंट तो दिया है. Somebody apply brain. What is संप्रज्ञात, असंप्रज्ञात? संप्रज्ञा, असंप्रज्ञा. नो नो. कहाँ गया भाई हमारा गौतम? किधर है गौतम लाल? हाँ, खड़े हो जाओ. What is your understanding of sampradyat asam? Later on, Gautam is going to take this legacy. He will take these classes. So, putting a lot of confidence.
Or involved, where all the is all come into Sampradaya is related link with
I think we didn't understand. Correct? You are talking about sampradnyat is with wisdom and asampradnyat is without wisdom. Garima?
Self-aware.
Self-aware, self-conscious. No, effortlessness is gone in dhyana itself. धारणा में effort था, ध्याना से flow में चला गया वो. So then samadhi is that point doesn't come.
So maybe with pratyaya or without pratyaya.
Now any student who answers this will get a award from me. Is not there?
Not attached.
observer disappears.
Where? In sampradnyata?
Observer is there and object both are there.
In asampradnyat?
Observer disappears.
Yes, please clap for Shreyas. Shreyas, आपको award देंगे हम. See, the subtlest of the sampradnyata samadhi is asmita. Asmita remains. So when a person goes in sampradnyata samadhi, I-ness remains. And when person comes out of it, then the person knows that I was in a state, like in sleep. Now you sleep, all activities you give up, you get up, and there is small I there, which tells you I had a nice sleep. Sampradnyata samadhi is almost like that. But the only difference between sleep and sampradnyata samadhi is that the awareness of everything that goes on is completely there. But the deepest of that samadhi is the I. That still remains. That I is the bija. That is known as sabija. So, when a person goes in sampradnyata samadhi, at the same time, he cannot do any other activity. It is like an epileptic attack. He will not be able to talk to anybody, engage in anything. He is lost. His eyes will be closed or it may be open, but his mental phenomena that is happening within him will not allow him to engage in any other activity simultaneously. You know? So, sampradnyata samadhi involves a objectively verifiable sensory withdrawal and mental phenomena, person goes into that and comes back. And when he comes back, he knows that I was there in some state. So वो आके बताता है कि उस स्थिति में ऐसा ऐसा करेक्ट. So you start in a process of, see, samadhi is a process of absorption. That absorption from the gross becomes subtle, 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 and till the I is there and still the state of flow and absorption is happening, it is in the sampradnyata domain. Also, the whole of the subconscious is there, because I is supported by the whole of subconscious also, no? So sampradnyata has this, the I in the purest form still existing. But when you get into the domain of nirbija, asampradnyata, nirvikalpa, then this experiencer also starts dissolving. So therefore samadhi is in two phases. First is continuous absorption of the senses, of the mind, of the buddhi, ultimately reaching up to a state of I, still experiencer remains. Once that experiencer also starts dissolving, you start moving from sampradnyat to asampradnyat. And when you reach that asampradnyata or sabija nirbija samadhi, then there is no separate I to tell you what happened. It is dissolved. And person also is able to do all the activities, like I can be taking this class and at the same time in nirbija samadhi. So it is very difficult to know a fellow who is in nirbija or nirvikalpa samadhi to understand what is going on within him. So there may be no I, but still the person will appear very functional. But sampradnyat mein, if I am going into sampradnyat, I can't take class. So it is the beginners go into sampradnyata. Slowly, slowly they master, and then when they from sampradnyata to asampradnyata, when they start moving, they master this activity, that one part of their mind, very superficial layer of their mind is engaged in the activity, but inside they are continuously in a state of nirbija, nirvikalpa samadhi. So such are the people like Gautama the Buddha. He reached nirvana. After that, he's talking to Ananda, he's talking to this fellow, not even a moment that he's out of samadhi. But when he was sitting under the Bodhi tree and continuously meditating, he was initially in the sampradnyata state where he had to withdraw. Once he reached nirvana, then he came back. After that, throughout, he was in a state of asampradnyata, nirvikalpa. There was no Siddhartha to say that he exists. That Siddhartha is gone. Somebody else, something else is talking, because that self itself is gone. The instruments are taken over by some other phenomena. That is the difference between sampradnyat and asampradnyat. Anybody, any doubt, any question on this? Sampradnyat and sleep. No, see, in sleep also, when you get up, you know that I slept well, the I-ness is there. But during the sleep, what phenomena is happening, you don't know, right? But a sampradnyat fellow will know. मतलब इतना सिंपल बोलते हैं कि if you are able to remain completely awake during deepest sleep, you were in a sampradnyat sam. अगर मुझे विज्ञान भैरव तंत्र, there is a technique, where they wholeheartedly pray before going to sleep that God, please me keep awake during sleep. Because if I am able to watch sleep, I am in asampradnyat samadhi. So all of us are very close to asampradnyat samadhi every night. But that small awareness, चला जाता है. So you can pray tonight. पता नहीं कोई सुन ले तो. So if you are able to wake up during your deepest sleep and watch it, really see that Pradnyanaghan, infinite silence. There is, in a way, just that covering of avidya is there. Otherwise, little bit you remove that covering, it is almost vritti nirodha has happened in deep sleep. But that subtle layer of avidya distinguishes sleep from asampradnyata samadhi. That avidya, that has to be removed. Somebody asked Vivekananda, same question. What is the difference between samadhi and sleep? So he said, when a fool goes into sleep, he wakes up as a fool. But when a fool goes into samadhi, he wakes up as a wise man. Something changes within you forever because you have seen what happens. So that self-awareness is the key that differentiates. Now we come to the domain of, fine, everybody's clear now. Now we try to understand within. So see, there are 4 stages from gross to subtle in the sampradnyata domain, and there are same 4 domains from gross to subtle in asampradnyata domain. That is why Patanjali says about Ashtanga Yoga, there is Ashtanga Samadhi also. You understand? So the definition of Samadhi by Patanjali is Tadev Artha Matra Nirbhasam Swarupa Shunyam Iva Samadhi. So this Samadhi comes after Dhyana. Bhasta Dhyana, and then comes Samadhi. This Samadhi that Patanjali talks about is which Samadhi? It is Sampradnyat or Asampradnyat? How many of you say Sampradnyat? Raise your hand. In Ashtanga Yoga, there is a definition of Samadhi. That Samadhi what Patanjali is talking about is Sampradnyata or Asampradnyata? How many of you say Sampradnyata? Raise your hand. How many of you say Asampradnyat? Raise your hand. Avinash is also raising the hand. Yes, Dr. Avinash, would you like to justify?
Sir, I think whatever Patanjali meant by end of doing all these practices is to reach the state of asampragnat only. So, because if he wanted to just leave it at sampragnat, he would have told that clearly this is what the intention is. Because he's telling, Patanjali is telling that you have to remove all this chitta vritti, you have to go stepwise. So, that is the ultimate goal. So, it is asampragnat only.
Yes. And it is very simple, no? Straight away he has said Swarupa Shunya. यहाँ पे अस्मिता तो रुका हुआ है. संप्रज्ञात में अस्मिता है ना, तो फिर वो कैसे संप्रज्ञात हो सकता है? स्वरूप शून्य कहाँ हुआ? So between dhyana to samadhi of Patanjali, there are further 8 steps. वितर्क संप्रज्ञात, विचारा संप्रज्ञात, आनंद संप्रज्ञात, अस्मिता संप्रज्ञात, then वितर्क असंप्रज्ञात, विचार असंप्रज्ञात, अस्मिता असंप्रज्ञात, आनंद असंप्रज्ञात, and अस्मिता असंप्रज्ञात, then nirbija. That is the samadhi which is tadevartha matra nirbhasam swarupasham. You understand? Gautam, any doubt? I think Gautam should have some doubt. Yes, please. Gautam is saying that artha matra nirbhasam is what he's saying, that still there is some content in the mind that Patanjali is talking about. Yeah, can you elaborate, Gautam? What are you asking?
When minus everything is lost, so by the artha matra nirbhasam, that's what it is.
That is, Patanjali tells the same thing, no? Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthana. So Artha is Swarupa only, no?
Swarupa is
No, Swarupa is not Shunya.
in Samadhi.
No. Swarupa is not Shunya. Please understand, this is the difference between, we can say, Hindu psychology and Buddhist psychology. In Hindu psychology, the whole approach is dissolution of the I in the infinite. So I, it is like a drop goes in the ocean. What happened to the drop after that? Drop has
Just
become ocean. Correct? Ocean is not nothingness. Ocean is not shunya. No? So हिंदू साइकोलॉजी में जो वेदांतिन है, जो अहम ब्रह्मास्मि बोलता है, वो शून्य नहीं बोलता. वो बोलता है ओमनी प्रेजेंट, ओमनी प्रेजेंट, omniscience. So I becomes everything. I expands. So you can dissolve a thing in two ways. One is you make it everything. If it expands so much that it becomes everything, there is no another. That is one way of dissolving the self. Another way of dissolving the self is you do neti, 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 and reach a state of shunya, nothingness. So these are two diverse approaches. Up to a point, things go together, but from dhyana to samadhi, that state that it goes, these are two paths that have gone. One is Mahayana path of Buddha, and other is the Vedantin path of Hindu psychology. Both reach the same place, but the way of dissolving the I is different. One is dissolution by expansion, and second is dissolution by denial. Self expansion or self dissolution. You understood? Neti means one says that not this, not this. So whatever the observer can observe, the observer denies that I am not this. So by that particular phenomena, the observer reaches a state where the observer denies himself, itself, and becomes a complete shunya, because there is nothing else that remains for the observer to see. Everything is denied. So when we say, I am not the body, I am not the mind, we are denying things what we are not. Then what remains is me. Correct? Whereas when a person follows Aham Brahmasmi, he says that that is what happens in Asmita state of Sampradnyata Samadhi also, where one initially gets Ananda in that blissful state, and when one wakes up, one starts feeling that the I that is there within me is the same I in everybody. आत्मोपम्येन सर्वत्र समम पश्यति यो अर्जुन सुखम वा यदि वा दुखम स योगी परमो मतः. A yogi, among all the yogis, that yogi is great for me, who is able to see others sukha and dukkha as his own, as if it is his I-ness only that is functioning in another's I. So when you get into that state of ananda and you come up, any person comes to you, he's crying, your heart starts melting as if you are suffering. That is what happened with Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. No, he was sleeping. What he would sleep? He was always, his sleep was samadhi only. Suddenly, in lot of pain, he gets up. His heart. It is raining outside. In Swami Vivekananda's movie, you can see this instance. Heavily raining in Kolkata there. And he runs on the street. And Vivekananda was sitting beside his feet. He also runs behind him. And he runs for a kilometer out of the city, goes into a hut. And in that hut, a very old lady, alone, she has defecated in her bed. She is in pain. He cleanses her, washes her, comes back. This is Asmita Samadhi. He was able to feel her eye in his eye. That created. Once he was in Samadhi, he experienced tremendous pain because he said that somewhere in Pacific Ocean, one whole ship sank. And the eyes of those people was. So अस्मिता समाधि में ऐसा होने लगता है, सेल्फ अदर बाउंड्री ब्लर हो जाता है, स्किज़ोफ्रेनिया जैसा लगने लगता है. What tremendous. So you have to follow यमा नियमा प्रॉपर स्टेजेस, नहीं तो यहाँ पे गाड़ी ट्रैक से उतर के वो निमांस आ जाता है वार्ड में. Somewhere, that's why this phenomena have some spiritual thing. Self and other boundary, ये अस्मिता समाधि में लूज होने लगता है. Okay, so वितर्क विचार आनंद अस्मिता. Please understand that all of these are antaranga yoga. No, already pratyahara has happened. Please understand that when Patanjali is telling about sampradnyata here, he understands that person has already mastered the art of pratyahara. He knows how to completely withdraw his senses and bring the pratyaya onto the surface of the mind, no, an object. In vitarka, what happens? Whatever object that the person brings on the mental surface, that object still has shabda, artha and jnana with it. It means I have a concept. With that concept, I am able to bring that substance onto my mental surface and I am able to keep it there. Say, for example, I sit, I withdraw my senses, and then I begin with the process of dharana, where I say I am going to meditate on the Mahabhuta of Prithvi. Prithvi Tattva is the object of my meditation. So, in a beginner, how Prithvi Tattva will come? Whatever knowledge that he has about Prithvi Tattva will come first. Whatever conceptual understanding he has. Okay, so Prithvi. So bring, all of you bring Prithvi Tattva onto your mental surface, onto your chitta now. Everybody is able to bring Prithvi Tattva on the mental surface now? Are you able to bring Prithvi Tattva on your mental surface now? So you have all brought in one image. Some would have got blue earth planet there. Some would have got some stones, some mountain, some rock. Correct? And then with that, conceptually, you also bring hardness to it, heaviness to it, immobility. Correct? So what you are doing here is, on your mental surface, you are bringing an object of concentration, but the Shabda, the Shabda Prithvi, the Artha of Prithvi, and the knowledge that you have about Prithvi are all put onto the image that you have put of Prithvi onto your mind. Now here, when you are able to retain it, gross Prithvi Tattva with your own understanding projected on it, is Savitarka. Vitarka means that your own reasoning, logic and conceptual understanding or memory that you have, you associate that when you bring that object onto your mental surface. As you continue to do that, slowly, you can also begin by sitting in front of a mountain. Or if you are doing on Jala Tattva, you can sit beside a lake. You observe it for some time. Like you do Trataka Kriya. After observing, you close your eyes. Then you bring that Tattva, Jala Tattva, onto your mental surface. Now with that Jala Tattva, you see blue color, water, Shitalata. All those gunas also start coming there. But all these are coming because you have some knowledge about water. Correct? So this is Savitarka. Now, after some time, as you continue Savitarka Samadhi, this is, Patanjali says that this is a natural quality. Wherever you start putting one-pointed mind, Prakriti starts revealing her secrets to you about that. Wherever a concentrated mind is put, secrets are revealed. So from Savitarka, you reach Nirvitarka, where all your own projections, your own concepts on the Tattva of Prithvi dissolve. Now no more your knowledge, concept, jnana, it is real essence of Prithvi Tattva that starts revealing itself to you. Then from conceptual understanding, it goes to real subtle perception, tanmatra state, that is known as savichara. Okay, so it is subtle than grossly bringing the image of Prithvi. Now, the real essence of Prithvi Tattva is perceived by you and you remain with it. It is not your projections anywhere. Then as you continue to do that, real essence of Prithvi Tattva, what does it mean? The very supporting principle, solidity, the gunas of Prithvi Mahabhuta, very subtle gunas that you learn in Ayurveda, you actually feel that, experience that, perceive that. Your body also becomes very heavy. Mind becomes perception. सविचारा से perception हो जाता है. Subtle perceptions. And then even that is given up. You start getting into nirvichara, the very core of it. When you get into that state where the curiosity about knowledge, deeper essence goes away, the very act of perception and the observer, the flow state comes in, and the very essence of Ananda is revealed. The Ananda is the essence of object also, and observer also, and the act of observation also. They start merging together. Triputi Nasha. Observer, object, and act of observations. Those three boundaries start becoming blur. And in that blurring of that boundary, there is release of bliss. In blurring of that boundary, there is release of bliss. That is known as Sa Ananda. When one retains that state for a long time, the Ananda also disappears. Then what comes up? Love. You realize that Prithvi Mahabhuta is you. You are Prithvi Mahabhuta. You love Prithvi. You are one with Prithvi. You are one with the Prithvi of this universe. You fall in love with Prithvi Mahabhuta. Prithvi Mahabhuta becomes you. You become Prithvi Mahabhuta. And then this is Tadeva Artha Matra Nirbhasam. Real Artha. So actually, Samadhi is an act of love, a deep love, deep love. Because whenever you put attention on something, in a way, you are saying that you love it. The subtle desire is that you want to dissolve it. नहीं तो हम attention क्यों डाले भाई? Attention. People seek attention. Attention seeking behavior. You are seeking love. Samadhi is love. So अस्मिता में एक हो जाता है. But there is I. That I of the object in this I. So this is the Sampradnyata up to here, how systematically it is going, right? Patanjali is amazing. So we'll continue these discussions in the next class. Any questions? Yes.
Most of the people, they use Raga and Dvesha to navigate their life,
Yes.
career and all. So if they are no longer there, what becomes the guiding force in their life?
Karma Yoga. No, that is what Krishna tells. Karmendriye karma yogam. The guiding force is, this is my dharma. I am born on this planet. This is my duty. Like any great person that you see, they got over their raga and dvesha because they had some higher, greater purpose in their life. Say Mahatma Gandhi. The purpose of life was that he became one with the nation itself. When he would put his stick down and get up, whole nation would get up. Wherever Mahatma Gandhi is going, whole nation would go. He started a Sahyog Andolan. Everybody started giving up their clothes, whatever Britishers made, they started burning. He stopped it. Everybody stopped.
लिट्टी नहीं देला लिट्टी लिट्टी
लिट्टी इल्ला पा चोखा लिट्टी बोल रहा है. Okay, so you understand. He was in Samadhi with Bharat. He was Bharat. He was in Asmita Samadhi. So what was guiding him? Was it small raga dvesha? Higher purpose, bigger purpose. You can be in Samadhi with Patanjali. You can be in Samadhi with Dhanvantari, Charaka. Any higher principle. Then that decides your action. No petty raga dvesha. See, for example, I am in Samadhi with the very concept of integrative medicine. Then that is able to get me over my own notions. See, you do your medicine from a particular discipline. You always have more raga towards what you have done. If I am an Ayurveda doctor, I always will have raga towards Ayurveda, dvesha towards others. So first thing is, can I overcome that? Can I take all systems together? The same way you are born in a community. We have a raga towards our mother tongue, dvesha towards other, maybe there, our own habits. We are born towards a nation. We have certain race. So we become aware. We say Bharat has to become Vishwaguru. We all say that. Only a Vishwa Atma can become a Vishwaguru. When your I will resonate with the white people also, with Christian also, Muslim also, Hindu also, Buddhist also. Then only you will become Vishwaguru. When you are in Asmita Samadhi with everybody, so how much dvesha you have to overcome? This expansion becomes the motivation. In a way, it is ever expanding domain of Karma Yoga. Higher principle has to come in life. That principle becomes your driving force. Then nobody can stop you. How? So that's why Patanjali brings in first the component of Shraddha. You cannot see that concept. I am devoting my whole life to a concept which I can't see. Correct? But I have firm conviction that it is for the welfare of humanity. Then suffering of the people around me. Small children being given a lot of antibiotics from the time they are born, their gut microbiome getting disrupted. That compassion drives me. How wonderful if they had taken Ayurveda or homeopathy. How wonderful if this was the whole country was following this system. So that compassion drives you, let me have this topic in CCIM course. So it is, there was a time when I had a lot of dvesha towards homeopathy. But then there is a large chunk of people who are practicing it, and you can't see. Ultimately, you have to understand one thing. No section of society you can cut off. Only Vishwatma can become Vishwaguru. If you take your Hinduism का झंडा लेके जाओगे तो कहीं भी नहीं जाने. वैसे you take your own pathy forward, all others are useless, you will not reach anywhere. Ano bhadraha kratvo yantu vishwatah. Let the good knowledge come from all the directions. For that, your asmita has to dissolve, your raga dvesha.
When we say karma yoga, is it necessary to have a social component?
Yes.
But
see, ultimately, whatever you do, there should be a social welfare component. Because the whole mankind, humanity, ultimately, I have seen many philosophers, they have very great philosophies. But when it comes to translation into their social transformating effect or social welfare, it has very less into it. Simply because the concepts that are there are too complex or they cannot. So even great people like Buddha, when they reached a state, they had to come back and remove suffering of the people. Not that you will be able to remove everybody's suffering, but your motive should be very clear. Social component has to be there.
People like they have midlife crisis. They realize that their ragas and dveshas are guiding them. So they realize that no, this is time for me to rise above it. But if we directly tell them the social component that go into society and do something, they are not able to do that as well. So can there be a middle way in between where they are doing karma yoga without the social component, but they are devoting the
Now, how can you give an example that karma yoga can be done without social component?
So let's say I am studying.
Hmm.
I am not focused on the outcome of my study, and I am devoting all my fruits to God. But there is no social component.
So you are saying I am studying because I just want to understand the concepts. But after understanding the concept, what will you do with that study? कि तब तक रियल ड्राइव नहीं आता है. आप अगर उसको सिर्फ एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग या एक क्यूरियोसिटी बना के रखते हो ना, रियल ड्राइव डजंट कम. Ultimately, it is your compassion and love only that drives you. Real drive will come only when there is a social component. So, yeah, they may not be aware of it, but ultimately, when chitta purifies, everybody will have it. Jैसे they go on the path of yoga forward, they have to feel compassion. They have to feel for others. No? So, that only becomes, the compassion is there at the core. बिना कंपैशन के कर्मयोग नहीं होता है, बहुत मुश्किल. So initially they can do it more mechanically, but as their chitta purifies, definitely it will come to them. उनको लगता है I don't feel for anything, but they really go to old age homes, they really serve disabled children. Slowly that feeling will come. Animals, कहीं ना कहीं तो मुझे लगता है कि सोसाइटी को वापस देने का कंपोनेंट होना ही चाहिए, रहता ही है. Why Patanjali had to write these sutras? Because we could read them and discuss. Otherwise, he had reached no. So Guru Parampara also, always you see that one strong component of every tradition goes back into society, gives it back. We are all becoming doctors, psychologists. If there is no society to survive, what are we doing? So that I think has to be there. But yeah, it may take more time to cultivate it. Initially, you can do it more mechanically, but slowly it comes. It has to come because it is our swarupa. See, you feel compassionate on yourself or not? उसको किसी के लिए, he doesn't feel compassion for anybody. But when he suffers, does he cry or not? Because of avidya, our eye is only limited to our own pleasure and pain. Slowly that avidya dissolves, others' pleasure and pain appear like yours. Then you don't have to think about doing good. Will you think about doing good to you? You'll immediately do it. So it becomes like that. When fire is there, you immediately put water. You don't think what to do. But you should be able to see the fire. Okay, thank you very much, all of you. Namaste.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.